Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We have welcomed back Swami Prajnanananda of the Kriya Yoga tradition. He was with us last year, and he's joined us yet again today on his passage through New York. He's been making quite an effect on many people across the world. He's actually been traveling throughout the world to all parts, all continents, talking to people about what Kriya Yoga is, what initiation is, and what spiritual practice is. He's been really affecting the lives of many people in a very positive, very important way. And I hope that through this show, you too will get a sense of what's behind this wonderful man and the tradition that he is part of. Swamiji, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. If you could first just tell us a little bit about what the Kriya Yoga tradition is. There are so many traditions in India, so many very rich spiritual traditions. What is the Kriya Yoga tradition in particular?
Well, Kriya Yoga is a simple meditation technique that anybody can practice. This technique, one practices 10 to 15 minutes time a day, can simultaneously change the physical health, mental health through calmness, concentration, and inner peace, love and joy. It is a non-sectarian meditation technique. You can believe in your own faith, own religion, but at the same time you can practice this meditation technique.
So in a sense, more than a religion, it's almost like a science or an art.
It is a science as well as it is an art.
Mm-hmm.
It is a science of changing your life and art of living.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, there are a number of other traditions that, especially from India, that make similar kinds of claims. What is it about the Kriya practices distinct?
Practically in Kriya Yoga, we do not give any mantra, anything. There are some physical exercises anybody can practice to get the better health.
Mm-hmm.
Some breathing technique which brings concentration and calmness of the mind. And then through concentration, one can enter into the level of inner awareness, inner peace, love, joy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it shares a number of things with other meditation practices, right? Surely.
Okay.
But what does Kriya mean?
We live in this world, we do work. To understand Kriya, you should understand this word. We are working. To work is Kriya. And who is helping us to work? Through breath, we are working. Without breath, it is death.
Of course.
So, when we change any work, the breath changes. Suppose somebody is angry, the breath is different.
Sure.
Somebody is in tension, the breath is different. And somebody is in depression, the breath is different. And somebody is peaceful, the breath is different. So by changing the breath, we can change the human behavior, human nature. At the same time, through every work, one can perceive which is helping the person to work. Kri means to work, Ya means the soul.
Oh.
Through every work, to experience the energy, source of energy in the body, inside the brain, the Ya, Kri and Ya.
So it has to do with the work of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And bringing that more into one's physical life, reality, consciousness. Yes. And breath, since you mentioned it, in fact, is the, how do I put it, the life breath. It's the life force itself of Kriya Yoga, of the practice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? There is, perhaps you could share with the audience this idea, Swamiji, that there is this notion that every human being has a certain amount of breaths per lifetime. Could you speak to that?
The yogis believe that a normal human being with average activities breathes 21,600 times a day. If you divide it into a minute, one breathes 15 times per minute. So 15 times per minute means 4 seconds in one breath.
Mm-hmm.
When one is doing lots of physical work, the breath changes, breath becomes quicker. when one is sleeping, the breath is longer, slow, long, deep. And the yogis also believe the human life is not the number of years, it is the number of breath. So the total number of breath is 21,600 times multiplied with 365 multiplied with 100. This is the total number of breath. One who knows the art of breath control, through controlling breath, one can control the life, and one can control the activities, quality of life, the length of life. One can live long, one can live strong, one can live peaceful through this breath control.
So that 100 years is suggesting that it is possible, or is that just sort of a constant?
It is 100 years, I said, but one can increase it
or decrease.
Decrease it.
Of course.
It is at our own hand. How do we breathe?
Interesting. Do you believe that that's true?
Yes, I do believe.
You do. You're a mathematician, after all. I mean,
thank you.
Right. I mean, you're a scientist, and this makes sense to you.
Yes.
That we have.
If you look at the nature, in the nature, if you observe the animal kingdom, there are two examples I will give you. The dog breathes very quick. So the dog's
and dies quickly.
lifespan is maximum 18 to 20 years, not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
The elephant, the turtle, they breathe very slow, long, deep. They live for hundreds of years. So the nature speaks how to breathe, how to live long, how to live strong.
Excellent. That's a fine example of how it works. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a fine example, absolutely. So, with the practice of Kriya Yoga, is one taught to modify one's breath?
What is happening? The breath is the link between body and the soul. And breath is the medium through which mind is playing. So, through breath, one brings harmony of body, mind and soul, thought, words and action. So, simple breathing technique which we teach in Kriya Yoga, one can easily understand the play of the mind. At the same time, one can easily get control over all the emotional state. One can get better health. One can live really a beautiful life through regulating the breath.
Mm-hmm. And does that usually consist of becoming a bit more like a turtle, in a sense, by a slower, deeper, longer breath?
We teach different types of breath. It is one type of breath is slow, long, deep breath, and there are many other types of breath. When one practices, one enjoys inner calmness, physical strength, mental peace, and in every state of life, even if it is very stressful or tense situation for ordinary people, but the person will maintain inner calmness and love and peace. He will not be so much disturbed.
Now you see, Swamiji, you travel the world and you see an increasing number of people coming from ordinary life, some of whom are coming from other traditions, begin to practice Kriya Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Could you share with our audience a little bit of what changes you observe in these people as you are teaching them and initiating them?
You see, I have been traveling all over the world. And
like a wandering monk.
Wandering monk of ancient time. So I have been teaching for last many years to many people. And people, those who come, at least they meditate for the weekend in the beginning. They see the change in their life, inner peace, so much of love, so much of energy, so much of calmness they experience. And they express. Every day I get so much of mails, and they express how much change in their life, how much peaceful they are, how much they regained their lost joy of their life. So it is.
So you experience many examples of these changes.
The first I experience with me.
Yes, of course.
It is my own personal experience, and I experience people, those who practice.
Now, if you could just say a word about yourself. You were a teacher, if I'm not mistaken, of mathematics in university. in India?
Economics.
Economics.
Mathematical economics.
Okay. And I was half right. And you were practicing also. You were born into the Brahmin class, and you were in pursuit of spiritual understanding and experience. Is that correct? And then could you just tell us a little bit about your own personal story and how you got involved to the point that you took the vows of monk?
Thank you. As you told, I was born in a Brahmin's family. This body was born. And from childhood, I was after God consciousness, praying, meditating. When I was 14 years old, I went to the Himalayas. And Himalayas, not so nearer. It was more than 1,500 miles away from my native place.
Which was, what was your native home?
In Orissa, east coast of India. Then I have been after monks, spiritual masters, but ultimately I met my Guruji, my master. I was nearly 20. I was a college student. Then from that time till now, I have been practicing Kriya Yoga. So, to go a little back, from my childhood, I was a completely sick child, diseased. I was a premature baby, born 7 months, few days old, in India. So, most of the days spent with medicine, doctors, sickness, cold, cough. But after I started practicing, the first change was my physical change. Goodbye to doctors, good health. Then the second state, I experienced inner calmness, better concentration, inner peace I experienced. And slowly my practice of Kriya was intensified. My Guruji helped me more and more to go deeper and deeper. Kriya Yoga is a step-by-step process. So he taught me all the levels of Kriya. Then he forced me to come to West. So then I came here and
ever since he forced you. He strongly persuaded you.
Definitely, I love him too much. And
so you listened.
yes,
Sure, that's beautiful. Well, if you are an example, a living example of the practice of Kriya Yoga, certainly you bring so much forward that you speak well of the richness of the tradition.
thank you.
You're welcome. Your own sense of peace and calm and warmth and humor. I have a funny feeling all have something to do with the practice. Could you speak a little bit about, Swamiji, about your guru, about Ananda, and just if you would give our audience a little idea of the lineage that he and you are holding?
Thank you. Kriya Yoga is an age-old meditation tradition, and we can't exactly say from where it came and how it developed. But the most authentic book on yoga, that is Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. And if one refers to this book, one will understand this philosophy of yoga and meditation. In this book, there is no name of any other yoga except Kriya Yoga. And it is used only 2 times. Kriya Yoga 2 times used in this book, no name of any other yoga. So that is why many yogis believe that the Kriya Yoga is the most ancient yoga. And in course of time, just like the human civilization goes up and down,
Yes.
similarly this Kriya Yoga meditation, it was very rich, then it went down. It was only with the monks inside the caves of the Himalayas they were practicing. And in modern times, in 1861, Babaji, the great mysterious yogi, he taught this technique to Lahiri Mahasaya. And then Lahiri Mahasaya, he was a householder, family man, married, working, like any other person in normal human life. He came back to the society and started Kriya Yoga according to the direction of his guru. Then Lahiri Mahasaya had many disciples. Among them, Swami Sri Yukteswar, he was very prominent. And Swami Sri Yukteswar, in the beginning, he was a family man. Later on, he became a monk. Then Swami Sri Yukteswar had a couple of disciples, among which Paramahamsa Yoganandaji was the most prominent.
Of Autobiography of a Yogi.
Who came to America and spent most of his life in America and West.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in body for 59 years, out of which nearly 37 years he spent only in America.
Mm.
And then my Guruji is the youngest disciple of Swami Sri Yukteswarji, and he was physically born in the year 1907 in Bengal. He, by technical education, he was a textile engineer, and from the childhood he was spiritual. When he was nearly 25 years old, he met his Guruji Swami Sri Yukteswar, and so on he continued his practice. Then he joined Karar Ashram in Puri, the hermitage of Sri Yukteswar. He lived there, meditated there, he attained the highest state of yogic realization, no pulse, no breath. It is
during meditation.
When he sits for meditation, many times, many people, including doctors and scientists, they have observed there is no pulse, there is no breath, and which is literally a clinical death of a person. After a good period of time, 1 hour, 30 minutes,
Sure.
40 minutes, he comes back into body consciousness. He is currently 92 years young, I will not say old.
Yes.
He is active, energetic, and stationed in Miami. We have an ashram there. So he's very sweet, loving personality.
Yes, I've had the honor of meeting him.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I have met many saints, many monks in India, and he's the person who just charmed me, and
Yes. Yes.
so I have extreme love for him.
Of course you do. Sure. It's very beautiful. Yeah. Now, is this state a state that each time he meditates he can access, or is it that a certain number of times in his earlier life he was able to manifest in that way?
So what happens, whenever he wanted, he can go. And to demonstrate to the people just the beauty of yoga and meditation, many times he demonstrated. But currently, by the advice of the doctors, because he's so old and nobody knows if he will come back again or not, so currently he's not exactly doing this, but whenever he wants he can.
So is that state, Swamiji, a state that practitioners of Kriya Yoga are seeking to manifest inside themselves?
What happens? Everybody wants to be free.
Indeed.
And the freedom from all worries, anxieties, unhappiness, freedom from inner restlessness. And ultimately, when we want complete freedom, even if when we are sleeping, forgetting body and complete rest, at that time the body is breathing. If one doesn't depend upon breath and experiencing immortality and coming back at will, it is the state of real freedom.
Correct.
So freedom from body, freedom from breath, freedom from all the bonds or ties. And
in other words, it's truly unconditional. Unconditional original state that's referred to.
Yes. That is the nature of the soul.
Yes.
The soul is completely free, but the soul is encased in this body, and because of the soul in the body, the breath is going on. And when the soul is free, there is no breath. But ordinary death, the soul can't come back into the body, but through meditation, when one experiences that state, experiencing freedom, I am the free soul, coming back at will into the body, it is possible only through meditation and possible through experiencing this state only by very few yogis. But one who practices Kriya Yoga can experience calmness and love. One who practices deeper can go to that state.
Sure. So in the meantime, you get joy, peace, and love. And then you can also attain this higher state,
Yes.
with enough practice and diligence and discipline.
Mhm.
Very, very beautiful. It's quite a rich tradition. Now, I seem to recall stories of Babaji, who you referred to before, as able to dematerialize and rematerialize. And I've heard, and perhaps you can verify one way or the other, that there are stories of him appearing from time to time in the Himalayas to this day.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Is that what's said in the Kriya Yoga tradition?
It is. You see,
It's assumed.
It is not a belief. It is not an assumption. He is.
Yes.
And many people till date have experienced him, his presence, coming and physically sitting and talking and blessing and going back.
So I've heard, yeah. That's a level of attainment that we all seek.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Try.
For sure. Okay. Could you speak a moment, Swamiji, about initiation and what that consists of?
Thank you. Initiation, from the root, the word initiate means to begin. So to begin or entry into this practice of Kriya Yoga, in that what happens, it is a teacher-student relationship. In initiation, the teacher purify the spine and brain of the body. In the spine and brain, there are energy centers. And through this purification, the student experience three things in himself or herself, experiencing inner light within. Everybody, those who take initiation, will see the light. And listening to the inner sound, the sound of the silence, which the religions describe as Om sound, Amen sound, Amin sound. One can listen to that sound of silence through initiation. And the other thing, one can experience the flow of energy in the body from top to bottom. The energy is flowing, one can experience that. Then we teach the technique. So initiation is a process of body and chakra purification, in which every student experiences these three things, and it's the entry, how one can go deeper and experience more light, more calmness, more sound, and diving deep into meditation.
To continue the process of purification. And now, is the initiation taking place through your guidance or through what means?
So what happens? Any teacher in our lineage can initiate. In New York, we have some more teachers. Those who live there, resident teachers, they can also initiate. So they have practiced, they have that power in them, so that they can infuse this divine energy. They can help the student to experience this, and then to teach, so that this is possible.
I see. So it's an actual physical transmission that is part of the lineage from Babaji, if not before, through
the lineage of the teachers.
The lineage of the teachers. Very interesting. Now, I know for myself, having been involved in spiritual practices from transcendental meditation, actually, and yoga, to Tibetan Buddhist practices for many years, I notice that when I meditate, I become, as you're saying, very calm, very loving, extremely sensitive, and very open. This is just, as we all know, these are results that occur. One softens the defense mechanisms, the armoring that we all have in living in this fast-paced urban modern life to come into play. Now, what is the relationship between this kind of inner softening and cultivation, if you will, of compassion and love? What is the relationship of that to the events that take place in the world where people are so quick to be aggressive with each other or violent? And we have just so many examples, even in our own wonderful spiritual homeland of India, between India and Pakistan, and what's happening in East Timor and Rwanda and Bosnia and Kosovo. I mean, the world is rife with violence. And then there are us, we who are meditating and practicing. How do you see our role in relating to the world at large?
Thank you. If you take the cosmos as an entity, and we all are individuals, just like somebody is a finger, somebody is a nail, somebody is hair. And if one individual is remaining at peace through meditation, it is a great contribution to the world peace. If one part of the body is healthy, it leads to the health of the body. So what is happening because of misunderstanding or because of ego, because of
confusion
in their own religion or land or all this, there is conflict. But at the same time, if you look in a positive outlook, more people are turning out to be more peaceful, more loving, more divine. Few people they love conflicts. It is at all the time. At the time of Jesus there was conflict. At the time of Moses there was conflict. At the time of Krishna there was conflict. Now there is conflict. But still then there is inner peace, love, joy people are striving for. World as a whole, people are becoming more peaceful and loving than war and crime. And this war and crime becomes more vigilant when one is really peaceful. So the world is transforming in a positive way.
Yes. This is good to hear. Yeah, for sure. Because there's this feeling as the heart becomes softer and larger and more expanded, and our understanding of our relationship to the whole and understanding our real connection to each other, not only as brothers and sisters, but as truly one being. Sort of, as you said, the cosmos is an entity on one hand, and humanity is an entity. And so it's important that idea of having a healthy part and an unhealthy part, the unhealthy part needs the healthy part, in a sense, to support for its own very survival, to heal. Exactly. Well, this has just been very wonderful yet again, Swamiji, to have you on the show and sharing with us from your heart.
Thank you, God bless you.
Yes, I really appreciate it. And please come back when you're back in New York. We love having you on the show.
All in the hand of God.
Indeed. Baruch Hashem, since it's the Jewish New Year today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Really. As you know, we love having such shows where people are so deeply involved in creating a better world. And I hope you feel that watching this and what you heard from Swamiji, the Kriya Yoga tradition, is going very far in doing just that, but creating a better world for us all. Thanks so much for joining us. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin. Please give a call and share your thoughts and feelings with me. I love hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.